The Abuja Light Rail Metro was planned to be one of the key infrastructure pieces that will drive the city to become a powerhouse within the continent. Unfortunately, it has been plagued with decades of corruption, budget overruns, and shifting political landscapes. Eventually, the metro launched in 2018, and this launch brought with it a lot of excitement and hope for the future. Unfortunately, limited service, incomplete infrastructure, and a global pandemic meant that the metro temporarily shut down in 2020. This shutdown was longer than anybody hoped or anticipated. Eventually, the Abuja Metro restarted operations in 2024, and I decided to travel all the way down to Abuja to give you first-hand info on what the service is like and look at the possible pathways for growth in the future. It's time to find out what the future might hold for Nigeria's most problematic metro system.
Abuja's Light Rail Metro initially launched in 2018 with 3-car diesel trains acquired from CRRC, the Chinese railway conglomerate. But the lines were designed with electric trains in mind. Unfortunately, overhead contact lines were never installed. The city decided to go with 4-car diesel trains during the relaunch process and ordered a total of 12. The service has been free since its relaunch more than 18 months ago. I must say that this section of Abuja between Central Area and the National Stadium is quite short and surprisingly green to me. Look at all the unused land. This is an evening service that leaves Abuja Central Station at 3:30 p.m. and arrives at its final destination, which is the Abuja Airport Station at 4:12 p.m. The section between the Stadium Station and Kukwapa 1 Station was considerably short. More people got on and very few people got off. But I must say that at this point, it felt manageable. All the seats were occupied and people were standing, but it did not feel overtly stuffy. In my experience, city metros can easily become overpacked and unbearably hot, especially in our country. We traveled between the Kukwaba 1 station and Kukwaba 2 station. Look at them, senior citizens of the Federal Republic. I salute you, sir. During my research and while on this train, I wondered why Kukwaba has 2 stations. I do not live in Abuja and I've only visited a couple times in the past, so I'm not familiar with the law around the city. But why does Kukwaba have 2 stations? Is it that important, or are there that many affluent people living there? Please share in the comment section so I can learn and others can learn from you too if you know why this is the case. More people got on at Kukwaba 2 and we were ready to head on out to Wupa. The section between Kukwaba 2 and Wupa was considerably longer, but it remained very green. It goes without saying that the entire length of this line was very green, and I don't know why it's so surprising to me. I always imagine Abuja was more dry, but I'm pleasantly surprised. It took a total of 6 minutes to travel between Kukwaba 2 and Wupa, and that's the most time we've spent between 2 stations so far. I look at people around and I get a better understanding of how important this piece of infrastructure has become to the lives of many. I understand that many of these people cannot imagine a reality where this line no longer exists. Yes, you might argue that they are using it because it's free, but I believe that when it becomes paid, patronage will become balanced after reducing for a while. That made me wonder what people who use the service felt like when it shut down during COVID. Anyways, welcome to the Wupa metro station. We moved from Wupa to Idu station, which you're already familiar with as being one of the most important stations on the line. It's a transfer station and it serves more purposes. The train was parked at this point. People traveling back home after working in the city. It was a Friday evening trip, so I'm sure people commuting back home after working, or some people just go back home for the weekend, but it was packed, as you can see. My experience so far has been fair. I was a bit skeptical about the experience beforehand because I always expect that we as a people, we know how to misuse things that are free. But for the most part, it has been a fair experience, and I use the word fair. Nothing out of the ordinary to talk about, nothing spectacular. It's a city metro. It does the job, but there's also nothing bad to talk about. So it's a very perfect balance. Anyways, we are almost at Idu station, where we'll stop for a while before considering onward. I'm a very big fan of city metros, so when I see any city, especially on our continent, that has a metro, I'm always very excited because I can see how many people this one train car is moving at once. Personal vehicles and buses can't even dare. Remember how I mentioned Idu being a transfer station? Lots of people got off at Idu station, and it's not to figure out why. If you're connecting onto the other line towards Bazango in Kubwa, you get on a different train train. But if you're heading towards the airport, like I was, you would remain on this train. This part of the journey towards the airport was considerably more scenic to me. It's more open, and I must confess that Abuja has a lot of natural beauty. There were a fair number of bridges on this section of the rail. To my understanding, rail lines cannot change elevation too drastically, so that's why you see bridges in certain areas to ensure that the operations keep going smoothly for as long as possible. Please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video while you're here. It means a lot and supports the work I'm doing out here. You might be wondering why I'm shooting this close to the ground. 90 minutes before catching this train, I donated blood at the national mosque, and while waiting, I almost missed the train. So when I got to the station, it was 2 minutes to departure, so I had to run up the staircase into the station, then run down to the platform. And if you've ever given blood, you would know that physical activity is a no-no immediately after. When you add to the fact that I stood throughout most of the journey, I felt like passing out, and I would have if I hadn't sat on the ground immediately. It wasn't until we got to Bazango station that I was able to get a seat, and this time I actually made the effort to go and sit down. I cannot get over how pristine these views are the closer we get to the airport, and it made me appreciate this piece of infrastructure more. Metro lines like this have the ability to open up areas of cities that were previously inaccessible, and it does the important job of improving the standard of living for citizens. Traveling through this area, I couldn't help but to remember the Nigerian lawmaker that suggested moving the communities and villages around the airport because it doesn't look nice when you are pulling into land at the Abuja airport. A very funny country. Welcome to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport Metro Station, Abuja. I spent more than 70 minutes waiting for the return trip into the city, and I spent most of that time sat down just trying to get my bearings. On our way back, we got on board while it was golden hour, and it felt so beautiful. I realized while on the train that some people got on it from their nearest stations, went to the airport, stayed for the 70 minutes, and returned back. It was like an excursion or a family day out for them. Who am I to blame people for taking full advantage of a free service? Carry on. We are now back at the Idu transfer station, where I'll be transferring onto the train heading towards Bazango in Kubwa.
The Abuja Metro originally launched in 2018 and essentially failed within 18 months. It stopped operations during the COVID pandemic and only relaunched in 2024. And the relaunch wasn't smooth because government officials were complaining about the poor quality of work done by the Chinese constructors. At the time of my visit, there were only 4 daily round trips on each line, making it a total of 16 trips in the morning and evening. We are now on the Abuja Metro Blue Line, which is also known as Lot 3. Welcome to the Bazango station, the beginning of Lot 3 or Line 3 of the Abuja Metro system. This service shares the same tracks as the Abuja Cardinal Rail service, beginning at Bazango and terminating at Idu station. What do you think of the ambience? I'm a big fan, but what are your first impressions of this station? Prior to the Metro's relaunch in 2024, the government ordered these new trains, a total of 12 of these trains, and each train features 4 cars. They look identical to those used on the Lagos Blue Line, but I was unable to find any information as to whether they are the same or just very similar. They are made by CRRC, a Chinese railway corporation, and it takes 23 minutes to journey from Bazango to Idu. The train stops at each station on the way for 1 minute, giving it an actual travel time of 20 minutes. We are now in motion, and it's the perfect time to let you know that it takes 4 minutes to travel from Bazango to Kagini station, which is the first section of this line. I know I've said it a couple times, but I was genuinely surprised at how green this part of Abuja is. It was very lush and had lots of space. As mentioned earlier, I am not familiar with Abuja that well, so I was seeing a lot of new places and learning lots of things during the journey. And I guess a service like this is the perfect way to take me through spaces like this, because how else would I have been in these areas? We are now at Kagini station. It wasn't the first trip of the day, so it was more chill, but at this point, more people got on, but it still did not feel like we were too much or overpacked, at least not yet. Traveling between Kagini station and Dede station took just
just under 3 minutes. It was the shortest section, I believe, of this line. It also gave me the opportunity to witness how everyday people interacted with the service and used it, demonstrating how important services like this are in moving people. I heard some men talking about how they left their car at the station and now take the metro because it's faster. At this point, I stood up because I gave up my seat to an elderly lady when we were at the last station. But that being said, standing up gave me a better vantage point to give you views like this. We left Dede for Gwagwa and it took us 3 minutes to travel between both stations. Another thing I realized about Abuja is places that have similar names might be very far from each other, because I had no idea there was a Gwagwa and there was a Gwagwalada and they are nowhere close to each other. I'm a big fan of mass transit. I believe every serious city must have reliable ways to transport people en masse. No matter how wide or how good your roads are, you need mass transit to fill in the gap. I hope this service doesn't feel like first time. The first time, it failed 18 months after launch, and we're currently at the 18 months mark at the time of making this video. It would mean a lot if you supported the channel financially. You can either join the channel or give a one-time super gift. Thank you as you do so. It has to stand the test of time while being continually improved for the good of all. My travel experience so far has been satisfactory to me. I did not come here expecting anything grand, and I do not believe that city metros or mass transit to be necessarily extravagant. You cannot ask for much more than I've experienced here, and I feel like if most experiences are like this, then I am fine with it. I am also a big fan of the cabin, simplistic and straight to the point. The first 4 stations from Bazango to Gwagwa are relatively close, but the section from Gwagwa to Idu takes 11 minutes to travel. I'm sure you can figure out why. Idu is where it connects with the main line going from central area to airport. One day, Gwagwa would also be like this when people will need to transfer through the station on another line. It was designed to function sort of like Idu currently is, and I hope we are all alive to see this come to pass. The closer we got to Idu, the more we were able to see the different lines and how they came to merge at the station, and I'm a geek for stuff like this, so it's always mesmerizing to experience. I would love to hear from you in the comment section. What do you think of this service? Do you agree with some of the things I've said? What are the things you disagree with me on concerning this service? I'm a big fan of metro services like this, but I feel like the 2 lines currently in operation will struggle to really make an impact in the city until the others are built. I was one of the most excited people when Abuja Metro initially launched in 2018. Being able to land at the airport and seeing Metro as one of the options to get into the city got me excited, and the station sort of quietly became moribund, and I'm happy to see that it has been relaunched after what felt like forever. We are now pulling into Idu station, and here you can get a sense of scale and a sense of how grand the plans behind the station are. I remember the current minister of the FCT, that's Wiki, complaining about the quality of work done by the Chinese contractors, and I don't know if those things are fixable or they are just stuff that we are stuck with, but I would love to see fixes to infrastructure pieces, but he never went into what exactly were the issues. If you're familiar with Abuja, then you would agree that Idu is the facto center of Abuja's railway infrastructure. When I think of Idu, I think of rail transport. It all goes down here. You can get a train to the airport, you can get a train going to Abuja, you can get a train going towards central area, or you can even get a train going towards Kaduna. The service isn't without issues, but I would rather focus on what works before talking about potential solutions later on. If you've traveled through Idu station, either towards Kaduna or on the metro, do you mind sharing what your experience was like in the comment section? Are you aware that the Abuja Metro Master Plan features almost 300 kilometers of rail across 6 lines, also called lots? That's lots 1 to lot 6. Lots 1 and lot 3 have been completed and are currently in use. The lot 1 connects Abuja city center to the airport via Idu, while lot 3 connects Bazango in Kubwa to Idu. Lot 2 is a future line that will connect Gwagwa to the city center and onwards to Nyanya and Karo, while lot 4 will go from Kuje to Karshi and join up with lot 2. Meanwhile, lot 5 will connect Kubwa to Suleja via Buhari, and lot 6 will connect from the airport via Kuje and Gwagwalada all the way to Dobi. 290 kilometers of rail is no small feat, and currently there are less than 50 kilometers completed and in operation. Why don't we review some of the stations on this line? This video would be incomplete without visiting some of the stations. The Abuja Airport Station main hall connects directly to the international arrivals hall. Literally, there's a door and you walk maybe 20 steps and you are at the arrivals hall. But unfortunately, when I was there, the door leading directly to the international arrival was locked. The design features are exciting. Things like high ceilings, clean aesthetics, and a facade that contributes to the airport's ambience. This building has quickly become one of the more iconic buildings to me. One thing I realized is that the color yellow is widely used across many of the stations, and I guess it's because one of the lines is called the yellow line. I understand why it's this color, but the color is not just a very attractive color, especially for interior. There were armed personnel behind me in the arrival area, so I couldn't turn back to show the arrivals all well. Enough about that. Let's head to the restroom.
If you gain any value from this video, why don't you consider sharing it to at least one person? Doing so ensures that you share the gift of this video with somebody else. Thank you as you do so.
I would say that the restroom is in good condition, one of the better ones I saw while reviewing some of the stations. I noticed minimal discoloration so far, not zero but minimal. The water runs, the pressure is okay, and it gets the job done. I'm a big believer that the hallmark of every piece of public infrastructure is how well its restrooms are maintained, and for a long time public restrooms in our country left much to be desired. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of an effort being put into maintaining public spaces, because if we can't do this, then what can we actually do? I understand that the airport metro station might not get as much use as some of the other ones on this line, but still, it gets a pass for me as regards the personal convenience area. Time to head back to the city, so we have to go to the boarding area, which is also very aesthetically pleasing. I love when infrastructure is built with intention.
The Abuja Airport Station is the literal start point of the Abuja Metro line. Literally kilometer zero. You can see where the metro starts from. And I feel like it's such a cool thing to see. I would love to see how the infrastructure pieces within this station fare over time. I feel like it's as good as it is today because it doesn't get much usage. I would love to see it in 5-10 years from now, how it fares over time. It goes without saying that I'm a very big fan of the design of this station. I have no notes. It works, and I love to see architecture pieces like this.
You're welcome to the Amina J. Mohammed Railway Complex, also known as the Idu Railway Station. Idu Station is not just one station, it's multiple stations in one. There are multiple operations. There's a section for rail service to Kaduna and another for metro service within the city. When most people think about their Abuja railway system, they think about Idu because Idu is the station to be, and it seems like everything goes through this station, at least for now. When gaining entry into this part of the Idu railway station, you will need to go in through a metal scanner, which is pretty normal for most public spaces in Nigeria, especially government-owned spaces. Your bag goes through the scanner and you are as the person, you also go through a scan. Once you go past that area, it's a large space that's pretty easy to travel through. You immediately get confronted by a massive stairway, and once you go up, you are essentially where you need to be. The process of arriving at the station as a transit passenger is a bit different. When you get off the train at the platform, you need to walk up the stairway or use one of the accessibility options if you need that and get into the main hall. At the main hall, you now have to decide whether you are going out of the terminal or you are going elsewhere. More often than not, you will need to step out of the station and re-enter if you need to, or connect onto the Abuja Cardinal Railway. But it's pretty straightforward. You get off your train onto the platform, you walk up or use an accessibility option. There's a hall, you walk down the hall and then you go down and you are outside the terminal. Some passengers that arrived did question why they needed to go out of the station and re-enter in order to catch their connecting train. I don't know why this is the case, but that is the reality on ground now. The restroom at the Idu railway station, at least the one I was able to review, was a bit more dated than the others in this video, and it's not hard to figure out why. The Idu station has been in constant use over the last 2 years. Even when the metro service did not work, it kept working. So users have gotten more mileage out of it. But for what it's worth, I feel like it has held its own well over time. It keeps getting the job done, but I believe that urgent rehabilitation is necessary sooner than later to keep it up to code and up to standard. I would have loved to review the bathrooms at other sections of the Idu station, maybe in the future. The waiting area is after the restroom on the top floor of the station. So once you go up the staircase and you go past the bathroom, you arrive at the waiting area. You obviously wait there for a while, and when it's time for you to board your train, you walk through the hall, past a set of barriers and onto the platform.
Idu station shows a glimpse into what stations like Gwagwa and Abuja City Central Station might look like in the future, because these stations are designed to become transfer stations in the future. From Abuja City Center, you're able to connect on multiple lines one day, hopefully in the not so distant future. Idu is significant in size and it has a lot of floor space. So if it's your first time, consider asking lots of questions to people who work there so that you don't go down the wrong path.
Is it just me, or does the Bazango station look like a Bond villain's lair from the car park? It looks very rustic, modern and quaint. I love architecture pieces that stand out in the right way, and this station stands out in the right way. Unfortunately, the interior is very yellow, and yellow is not a color that seems appropriate for the exterior. Like when you are coming from the outside in, the difference is just so jarring. It's honestly ugly. What do you think of the color scheme? Do you like it, or are you like me? I feel like they could have done better. Let's head over to the washroom. The washing basins are in the hallway and shared by both the women and men bathroom. So when you're done inside, you come out and wash your hands. I would say that the bathroom area is fair. Everything works and it's conducive. The color scheme here seems more appropriate. Unfortunately, hard water stains are beginning to show on many toilet fixtures, and something needs to be done sooner rather than later so that this beautiful station is able to maintain its standard and its beauty. It's not the largest bathroom I've seen in any of my tours, but it's fair and does the job well. Bazango station is by no means massive. From the restroom, you can see the train and it's very close, but something needs to be done about the bathroom sooner than later, please. From the entrance of the station to the train itself on the platform, it probably takes 15 to 20 seconds for most adults. It's so close that once you enter, you pass through the barrier, you are essentially on the platform. Obviously, we're in Nigeria and this is Abuja, so there is heavy security presence at every station. I am a big fan of the station's design. The exterior and the way it's perched high above the surrounding makes it feel like a Bond villain's lair. It just makes it feel so cool. I'm a big fan of the design. But when you enter, it's quite disappointing. Going from this rustic industrial feel and going into a yellow space, I felt like I was in an MTN customer service office. As you can guess, I'm not a big fan of the color, but it's something that can be easily fixed if they see it as a problem. Bazango station does its job without much force. Like I said earlier, you can go from the entrance to the platform within seconds, in and out, straight to the point. I'm a fan. I hope you've enjoyed the video so far because I enjoyed making it for you. If you have any feedback that you'd like to share with me, please leave it in the comment section. I would like to know how I can make better videos like this for you. Believe that in order for the Abuja City Metro project to become a success, other lots or lines need to be built out. If just lots 1 and lot 3, which are currently completed, are the only ones that are there, I feel like it will never break even because it doesn't spread out to enough people for enough people to use it so that the loans can be repaid. If for no other reasons, the other line should be built out because of sunk cost fallacy. I believe that more frequencies are needed because each time I used the metro, it was overpacked, morning or evening, first train, second train, whatever time, it was overpacked, which shows that there's a lot of demand for it. Yes, the demand might reduce once it becomes paid, but the demand exists. Next up, I'm sure Abuja residents have enjoyed the free period, but it's been 18 months. I feel like the free period has to come to an end sooner or later. And when it does, there should be a payment system that requires a Metro card, similar to the cowrie cards used in Lagos. This will minimize corruption and make it a smoother experience. You tap your card, you are on your train, contactless. I love the master plan, 290 kilometers of rail across 6 lines. I believe that if these lines are built out, hopefully sooner than later, connecting the suburbs in
Niger State, Nasarawa State, and other parts of the FCT beyond the central area. It will make Abuja grow to become a regional powerhouse, and beyond that, it will make connectivity simpler and more straightforward than ever. If you're interested in more videos like this about infrastructure and train travel, especially within Nigeria, you can click the video on screen right now because I made it specially for you. Until the next video, your friend from the Okodo YouTube channel wishes you love, peace, and prosperity. See you soon.